Hello, and welcome to Writing Goals and Objectives. I'm Julie.
And I'm Carmen. So, learning objectives for this module. You're going to understand the types and structures of objectives, and we hope that you will be able to articulate your own goals as an instructor.
Key terms. So there's 3 key terms we want to go over: course goals, learning objective, and assessment. So course goals are a broad statement of what an instructor intends to teach, not really measurable yet. So what do I want my students to generally know or feel or be able to do when the course is over? Learning objectives, in contrast, are brief statements that clearly define what students will be expected to learn, and they should be measurable. So what are the tangible skills, knowledge, attitudes, or behaviors students will gain from instruction? And then it's useful to talk about assessment. So assessment is a process of systematically examining and refining the fit between course activities and student performance. So how well do students demonstrate learning, and is instruction helping students to achieve learning objectives? We won't talk a lot about assessment in this module, but it's useful to have it in your mind as we talk about goals and objectives.
So why is this important? This is important because instructional design begins with broad goals and narrow objectives. It is truly the foundation of your teaching, and it should be thought about as you are developing your course. So this is a great benefit to you as a participant in this module, because you'll be able to write your own goals for your instruction and begin to think about learning objectives for students.
Absolutely. Where does it fit into the training paradigm? This is focused on you, the teacher. So this module explains how to develop learning objectives, and it's really focused in on what you already know about teaching and learning and what you've already done as an instructor of QMRA.
So this is our model. You may have seen it before, it may be new, but we're going to talk about from course goals to curriculum instruction. So again, from course goals, what should my student know, feel, or be able to do by the end of this course? When we think about learning objectives, what tangible skills, knowledge, attitudes, or behaviors will students gain as a result of instruction? We talk about assessment. How well do students demonstrate learning? And is instruction helping students to achieve their learning goals? And objectives. And objectives. And then we have curriculum and instruction. How will you assist students in achieving goals and objectives? So this module focuses on course goals and learning objectives. Those are the 2 out of that model that we will be focusing on today.
So when you're writing course goals are a broad statement of what an instructor intends to teach. So course goals do 3 things. They set the course direction. Where will the course start? How will it move? And where will it end? It sets the course focus. What will be included and excluded from the course content? And it establishes cohesion. How will the components of the course fit together into a cohesive whole that makes sense for our students?
When we think about writing learning objectives, there's 3 pieces to that puzzle. We have condition, performance, and criterion. When we talk about condition, that is the description of circumstances under which the performance will be carried out. So what is the condition that this learning will occur? Performance is the description of measurable and observable behavior that learners are expected to perform. And the criterion is a description of the criteria, indicating how well objectives must be met to demonstrate mastery. So when we think about criterion, we're talking about how will we know that they know what we told them?
Or what we taught them.
Taught them.
Okay, so let's give you an example. So here's an example. Here's an objective. Given all necessary data and models, the students will be able to calculate risk of a pathogen exposure within 10% deviation from known risk. That's a very clear, measurable objective. It contains a condition, given all necessary data and models. So that's the condition under which students will be able to do this performance, that is to calculate the risk of a pathogen exposure. And the criterion, sometimes it's implied, it's stated here, they'll be able to calculate that risk within a 10% deviation from known risk. So that actually helps us understand how we might assess this learning objective, and we'll cover assessment in a later module.
So the types of learning objectives, these are some examples. So from cognitive, knowing, I know how to recycle.
Affective feeling, I believe recycling is important.
Behavior, doing, I recycle.
So you can write objectives that meet cognitive goals for students, affective goals, or behavioral goals. I want students to know something. I want students to feel something. I want students to do something. And you should think about writing objectives to meet whichever of these cognitive, affective, or behavioral outcomes are most important for you in your classroom.
And now it's your turn. Think about your own QMRA instruction. We're going to ask you to take 10 minutes and write down responses to the following. When we think about course goals, what will your students know, feel, or be able to do by the end of the course? Learning objectives with tangible QMRA skills, knowledge, attitudes, or behavior where students gain as a result of your instruction. Again, take about 10 minutes, write down the answers to these questions, pause this video, and then come on back.
So in conclusion, planning instruction should start with setting broad goals. Learning objectives are much narrower, and they establish the tangible outcomes for students engaged in instruction. And goals and objectives are setting the stage for developing assessments and designing instruction. Thank you for joining us. Thanks, Carmen.
Thanks, Julie.